Hello and welcome to the No Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald, with me co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today, we are doing the Cleveland Cavaliers
Yeah,
preseason predictions and offseason recap episode as we get some latency flaw right at the start of the episode. Let's go. We're starting off strong. If you do not know, we give every team their full hour-length episode, talk about them, ultimately culminating in our predictions episode for all 30 teams in episode 31. That should be upcoming. We're already halfway done, so we're doing quite well. Before we get started, trivia question related to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Sheldon, what do we have today?
it took a while, but we got a doozy for you. Which cat? This is a Cavs fan favorite. Okay. Um, uh, what player saw his jersey get retired in the middle of the 2014 season? Hint: the jersey number was 11, not 23.
Oh, 11, not 23. So this has got to be, well, no, Verjao was still playing. Yeah, Verjao was still playing because he was on the Warriors. So is this Big Z Zydrunas Ilgauskas?
Wow, Pat hit it right on the head. There we go. Zydrunas Ikauskas, um, goat maybe the best player in Cavs franchise history. Who knows? Played for there for a while, 1996 to
Yeah,
2010.
for sure the best
Um,
center of that
so
era too. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, best center that's ever suited up for the Cavs. Um, his one-time teammate Shaquille O'Neal was pretty close, but yeah, Big Z, let's go. Um, he 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 ran so Wemby could crawl. Um, anyway, we'll talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Um, this is a very fun team. Do you have anything before we talk about the 2025 team? All
no,
right,
let's jump right
diving
into it.
straight into the 2025 Cavs team. This was a very great team, as you can see by the dark green everywhere, and that will continue throughout all of the 25 team review. 64 and 18, first in the Eastern Conference. 62 and 30 expected record, was third in the NBA behind the Thunder and the Celtics. They were very good. 8.81 SRS was second in the NBA, which, if you do not know, SRS is opponent adjusted net rating. So, how good did you play against your opponents relative to how good your opponents were? At home, they were 34 and 7. On the road, they were 30 and 11. Pre All-Star break, they were 44 and 10. 20 and 8 post All-Star break, 41 and 11 versus the East, 23 and 7 versus the West. They were the only East team to beat the regular season Thunder this year as well. In clutch games, their clutch games number is not right, but they were a plus 18.1 net rating, which was second in the entire NBA, and I'll pull up their record in clutch games as well. What do you have to say about these Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good stuff to say. They were dominant throughout most of the season, or really all of it. Only lost 18 games. Like you said, best record in the NBA behind the Thunder. And gave us some really fun Thunder Cavs matchups. Um, they dominated at home. They were dominated on the road. They were such a good team. My favorites to come out of the East, and once again they fell in the second round. So just really unfortunate the way it happened. They did deal with some injuries in that second round. I feel like that might be overlooked a little bit. Not having Mitchell and Mobley for the first two games of the series, or they were missing like multiple parts
Yeah,
throughout the series, multiple games. So, um, but yeah, besides that, such a good regular season, like really good regular season. Disappointing
yeah,
playoffs,
and just like same script.
but you did lose to the. Sorry,
It's
go
like the
ahead. Go ahead.
same script that we've played for the past couple seasons for the Cavs. Like, they're pretty promising in the regular season. In 24, they dealt with a ton of like garbage regular season injuries that like slowed them down, but then they looked pretty good come playoff time, and then they burned out again injury wise in the playoffs. They've had just a really rough run of luck the past couple seasons. Come playoff time, some of it's been underperforming, some of it's been injury related. But this looked like it was supposed to be the season. They had a dominant regular season, like you said, and you know they were 26-12 in clutch games as well. I should mention that, not 17-20. But yeah, they were like a really good team this season. And once we get forward to their offense, we can talk a little bit more why that was the case. So you ready for that? All right, we'll get started talking about their offense. They were first in the league in offensive rating with a 121.7 offensive rating. They were fourth in preventing turnovers, 10th in pace, 15th in offensive rebound percentage. Going into the season, all of our questions around the Cleveland Cavaliers were how good of an offense were they going to be? We were very confident in what they were going to be defensively. We said it just all depends. Are they going to be a top 10 offense or are they going to be a bottom 10 offense? Um, they were the first offense. So I think we really underestimated the impact that Kenny Atkinson would have in his first season as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Going over their individual play types in isolation, they were 22nd in efficiency. That's the lone blemish on the radar here. They were second in pick and roll ball handler efficiency, second in roller efficiency, fifth in post up frequency or efficiency, first in transition efficiency. Most also notably, they didn't post up much, 28th in post up percentage, but first in pick and roll roller or handler, and then fifth in pick and roll roller frequencies. So they were very common pick and roll team, and they were very good at damn near everything on offense this past season. What stands out the most with these numbers or schematic wise with their offense for you? You're muted.
Yeah, probably just the success they had. The success they had with the pick and roll stuff, and the fact that they ran it so much. Donovan Mitchell was so fun to watch last season, coming off of pick and rolls. Like you could get downhill so fast off of them and just create crazy layup opportunities. Darius Garland also thrived with that, being able to shoot step back threes, where he was very successful last season. Um, yeah, and with the scheme stuff, I mean, not getting too much real quick right now, but they had a really nice pick and roll package, um, really good stuff, and they just love to get their guys paint touches, and there's a lot of green on this, Pat. Even if they're not running it a lot, they're converting at high rates. They're doing really good at not turning over the ball, which I think was it could have been like a little bit of a concern last like coming into the season. They pushed the pace well. They rebounded at a decent rate. Uh, Gotta love the offense from them during the regular season.
Yeah, the offense was so awesome, and that was pretty refreshing because that hadn't typically been the case for the Mitchell era Cavs teams. Um, and then looking at the defense side of things, which had typically been their staple, they still managed to be the eighth ranked defense, but they were only 15th in forcing turnovers, 22nd in securing defensive rebounds. As far as individual possessions, they were 15th in defending isolation, 10th in defending pick and roll handlers, uh, 7th in defending pick and roll rollers, third in post ups, and then fourth in transition. Obviously, they're still pretty good at everything. Before they were just an amazing defense, pretty much all around. Now they have a couple of holes on the perimeter side of things. I think one thing to highlight as well still isolation frequency, most frequent isolated team against this past season. They were able to shut down a ton of possessions and turn them into nothing burgers, which ended up in pretty efficient possessions, even if they weren't a great defensive team against isolation. What stands out about their defense this past season for you?
Um, I mean, I think the fact that they neutralized the ball handling stuff really well and also the roller stuff, making it so hard to score on this team. Like usually with defenses, we see a lot of discrepancy between like it would be green in the ball handler and then red in the roller or something like that. But they did really good against both. Even when teams were running it a lot, teams love to run the post up on them, and they shut it down. They were so good in transition. It's hard to score against this team. Eighth defensive rating. Uh, they're turning over the ball well as well. So I mean, really good stuff on defense from the Cavs this year. They weren't letting a lot of teams score easily, as you can see by the defensive rankings.
Yeah, and like there were cracks in the armor for sure, but they still like were well kept. They had Evan Mobley, who's an awesome defensive player, and I think he's highlighted best by neutralizing any pick and roll opportunities by being able to play whatever coverage you want to with Evan Mobley. Um, Transition wise, they were a good transition defense. Large part of that is how well coached they were, and we'll go ahead and get into that if you're ready, going to coaching and scheme. Their head coach is Kenny Atkinson. General manager is Kobe Altman. Damari Carroll, Trevor Hendry, and Omar Cook are notable assistants. Right on your screen right now is Kobe Altman, who's done a pretty good job building this post-LeBron James core. Uh, where do we want to start here? Scheme-wise, coaching-wise, GM-wise?
Yeah, we could talk about yeah, we can talk about some of the GM stuff. I think there was a notable trade that happened where they went out and got DeAndre Hunter, who proved to be a pretty good player for them. Shot 42% from 3 point in the 27 games he played, and averaged 14, and was like a pretty key, like a spark plug for them, kind of mid season and going into the playoffs. Um, Scheme wise, this is a really good offense. Like so much off ball movement and screens. And they really wanted to emphasize like paint touches with Mobley, Garland, and Mitchell at times. I felt like Mitchell just like killed off that pick and roll running to the paint. And like his craftiness finishing and his athletic finishes are unbelievable. PNR, a lot of like guys are cutting. Guys are cutting when the pick and roll actions are happening. Like there's guys going in. DeAndre Hunter's going in to get a catch and dunk. And then there's also the guys waiting for the shot. Like you saw, 10th and pace. They like to push the pace, and they like to get shots up early in the shot clock. Um, the the thing I liked a lot was they would run a play. A lot of times in the playoffs, I saw it with Indiana where they would set a screen with Struess, and then like Allen would set a pick and roll screen for Mitchell, and then Allen would peel off that, and then receive a screen from Struess, and then have a wide open lane to the basket. So that's something I really liked. I thought it was really creative, like to get a guy like Allen who's offensively challenged at sometimes to get a free lane to the basket is really nice to see. A lot of driving kick opportunities. Like they cause chaos by driving into the paint and making the defense help and kick out the shooters, kick out, make the extra pass. And then at sometimes they would do some pin down screens in the corner. And then on defense, I'm sure you can talk to a little bit more to this, but they went to zone a lot throughout the season, which I think was really interesting and cool to see. And then they really made an emphasis on like trying to prevent star players from like hurting them, and I think we saw that a lot with Miami and kind of eliminating Tyler Hero's 3 point shot in the playoffs.
The offense stuff was so good. It's like they applied all of the unique principles that Memphis was using this past season, did it a lot better, still ran pick and rolls. Like they were a high volume pick and roll team here, unlike Memphis, who was a no volume pick and roll team. So they combined all the good aspects of their uh, agenda pushing. That's not the right word, but their innovative offense. They brought all of the new innovations of their offense, used that to improve while also still having traditional like modern wisdom of high volume pick and roll team, especially if you have Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland who are excellent pick and roll operators. Using Mobley more as a ball handler was so big for them. Kenny Atkinson's like a really good coach. Everybody who's ever spoken about him has said like he's kind of a basketball sicko, except Kevin Durant, of course, um, because they hated Kenny Atkinson in Brooklyn.
Nothing's ever good. Nothing ever is good enough for
Yeah,
KD.
nothing's good enough for KD. So I'm glad he will have Ime Udoka screaming in his ear this season. They'll probably still be good though, at least. Um, but yeah, like everything was so awesome. The zone, the Evan Mobley at the top of the zone defenses in the playoffs were like so exotic and so cool. I want to see more of that, especially since they already have Jarrett Allen as like a backline defender. It helps them hide weak guard defenders like Garland and Mitchell, who otherwise could be picked on. I think there's a ton of fun stuff there. And like they had to operate this entire year without having like a really good point of attack defender. So they had to get creative, and I think they did a lot of those things right. Come playoff time, it was still, Indiana was able to pick on it a little bit. Indiana's also like, has probably one of the most intelligent basketball players in the league right now. So not every team was going to be able to pick on what happened with this current Cleveland Cavaliers team. And then some of that was also exacerbated by injury. So not everything falling apart was necessarily a meltdown, even though they did have a couple of like, geez, y'all, like, just don't commit stupid elbow to the face fouls on Aaron Nesmith at the end of games.
or hit some free throws.
Yeah,
Right? That's what happened. Yeah. First game, they missed some free throws in the
that
Pacers
sounds right.
series,
They
and then Hallie hit the shot.
Yeah, they did everything in their power to blow that game, I would say. Um, other than that, what do we got? Anything else?
No, I mean, just so unfortunate what happened. Like it sucks that they had to run into the eventual champs, or eventual representatives of the East. Um, yeah, and it brings a lot of questions up for this team too.
Yeah, it most definitely does. Well, it'll always, I'd say this, it will bring questions to whether or not people will actually believe in them going forward. Because I think they can still have a great regular season, and a lot of people will say, I do not believe in the Cavs doing it in the playoffs.
I mean, I feel like did that not happen
Yeah,
this year as well?
and them
Okay, yeah.
continuing to lose this year, even though like the last two seasons, like they've been like critically injured. Like Darius Garland had turf toe in the finals. It just ruled Joe Burrow out for 3 months. And people act like it was crazy for Garland to not play in the playoffs. Um,
Yeah.
and like the defensive player of the year missed a couple games in the playoffs this year against Indiana. So obviously they got picked apart. We'll move forward. Their draft. 49th overall, they select Tyrese Proctor from Duke. Was originally going to be a like huge one and done prospect as like a plus size guard. Ended up staying multiple years in Duke. Ended up adapting as a college role player. Everybody watched Tyrese Proctor play a ton of games because everybody watched the Lively film, everybody watched the Filipowski film, everybody watched the Cooper Flag Continental and Malawatch film. So everybody's well conditioned to Tyrese Proctor, plus size guard, decent shot making, can play on and off the ball. Like he's a good player to add into here, especially in a guard room that they need some versatility in the type of guys who they can bring off the bench because they can't bring a 6 foot flat shot creator off the bench. They already have two of those guys in their starting lineup. So I think Tyrese Proctor's a great fit here. What do you have on Tyrese?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think a lot of people are saying this is like the diamond in the rough in this draft class, and a lot of diamonds are in this draft class. But he looked really good in or in the summer league, and he shot 40% from the 3 point line Duke last year, and 12 points per game. Showed some real good signs of like playmaking as well, or decision making. Not a guy that's going to turn the ball over a lot. I think it's a really good pickup for them, and to get him so late, I think it's a steal. Yeah, love the pick.
He might be on a two-way. I can't quite remember. We'll figure out when we get to the SPO track slide for confirmation. But yeah, he's like pretty, like a lot of people can just assume that this guy will hopefully be able to translate right away. If he doesn't translate right away, probably a nothing burger, but like type of guy you take a chance on as like a 6'5" combo guard who already has shooting built in. 100% like it. Kind of reminds me of Karis LeVert, just played on the Cavs. Um,
Yep.
Karis LeVert lost the shot in the NBA. So hopefully Tyrese Proctor does not lose the shot in the NBA like Karis LeVert did. Because, Karis LeVert still ended up becoming a good player, but that took serious development on the defensive side of things and the playmaking side of things that he didn't have right away. And I think Tyrese Proctor could be a similar type of player to Karis LeVert. Did you come away with anything else for the 49th pick?
Maybe if he becomes like a passing role, maybe like Alonzo Ball. I think like the size and the passing ability, maybe even a better shooter.
Yeah, we just come away with other Cavs guards, of course. I mean, obviously, the type of player that they like that makes sense for them. It makes a ton of sense. It's a good pick, and it's 49th overall. Literally no risk to it. We'll move forward. Trades and free agents actually kind of cooked here a little bit. They trade for Lonzo Ball, and they sign Larry Nance Jr. to a league minimum contract. Just before we get to it, do you remember who their backup center was last season? You're muted.
Tristan
Yeah.
Thompson.
Larry Nance is good.
Yeah.
Um, can play a variety of different coverages, is a decent defensive player, has had a lot of injury concerns, and that's why he's playing on a league minimum. But when he's, on a per minute basis, he's still a good defender. Um, Shout out to Larry Nance Jr. Lonzo Ball, they get in trade, just taking chances on guys who have been injured. That's what they're doing here. Lonzo Ball, if he's healthy, can play a little bit of defense, can shoot the ball. He's actually a pretty damn good shooter now, and he's a good decision maker, even if he's not ever going to get to the rim a ton to average a ton of assists. Lonzo Ball is a good player, can play in transition for you. They were very effective in transition. Yeah, I think it's just two pretty seamless fits, and we'll get to the acquisition cost for Lonzo Ball, but very low acquisition. So what do you have?
Yeah, like I mean, bringing in Larry Nance gives you like a viable backup option, a lot more viable than Tristan Thompson, I would say, at this point. And yeah, the Alonzo stuff, like he was looking pretty good last year in the 35 games that he did up playing. He has a whole offseason to like reset and recover. Shot 34% from the 3 point line last year, 7 points per game and 3 assists. So I like you said, seamless fit here. A guy that's going to be able to play well in transition. And I think the 3 point shot's going to be around average, at least 35% this year. So usually that you always want to have that on the team.
Yeah, two high, not high value role players, but low risk role players that you can add to the team. Makes perfect sense, honestly. Um, Next up, notable losses. Um, Amani Bates is unsigned. Shaquille O'Neal is punching the wall in Waffle House right now. Javante Green goes to the Pistons. Ty Jerome goes to the Grizzlies. Chumo KK is currently unsigned. Isaac Okoro was traded for Lonzo Ball. I'm pretty sure straight up. It might have had a second round pick going one way or the other. And then Tristan Thompson is currently unsigned. Any of these super stand out to you?
I think the only one that would really stand out to me is Ty Jerome, just because he was like a really good piece for them last year, coming off the bench. Obviously, struggled a little bit when it came playoff time, but 12 points per game, um, off good shooting from the field and from the 3 point line. It's going to hurt a little bit to miss, but I think you bring in Lonzo to kind of fill that gap. Um, you got to do what you got to do, you know. I think that these other losses aren't anything that's going to be too detrimental to the team. So, yeah, you lose Ty Jerome, but you still have your main guys.
Yeah, Ty Jerome was huge. He's who we said should have been the sixth man of the year last year. We fully were yeah, this guy should be sixth man of the year. Didn't end up getting those honors, but yeah. big loss anytime you're losing that type of a player. Okoro, like he can defend. That's all he's ever really been able to do in the NBA. Sometimes, a couple seasons, the regular season 3-point percentage just looked pretty good. It's teams never guard him anymore, so like it is notable, but they should be able to replace that type of production. Um, I think they did pretty fine on the in and out type of transition or transactions here. Um, yeah, you ready to move forward to the next section? I believe this is lineup data. No, this is Spotrac.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's talk about them
Yeah, so
contracts.
Mobley receives a raise to 30% of the cap because he won Defensive Player of the Year. Donovan Mitchell is currently signed for 30% of the year or of the cap. Darius Garland is getting his rookie scale max extension. DeAndre Hunter, Jerry Allen are on these mid-range contracts that are pretty respectable. Max Strus and Lonzo Ball are on some like real deals, but not crazy expensive. Same with Sam Merrill. Um, and then other than that, it's like non-guaranteed and rookie deals. Tyrese Proctor did get a scam rookie contract where he's making $1.2 million this season, which is pretty crazy, all honestly. Yeah. Other than that, like this is all pretty clean. They are currently deep in the second apron, I believe. 4 million over the second apron for this season. They could get out of that technically by cutting Dean Wade. Not sure if they're going to want to do that. We'll get into it into the lineup section. They could do it though if they wanted to, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to do so. Lineup data, we'll talk about it. Their big four this season had a plus 8.91 net rating in 100 and or 752 minutes. That is a like a huge sample size of them being pretty good. I'm currently trying to figure out what part of the video last year we talked about their lineup data, so I'll quickly be looking for that. On the side here is the minutes played for a specific player and the net rating in those minutes. As you can see, the Levert slash Hunter guy, whoever that was, traded mid-season for each other. Though when they played both of those guys together here with their big four, which is Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Jarrett Allen, they were very effective. I'll let you get the floor first while I try to figure out what we said about their lineup data last season.
Yeah. Um, I think Stru's having a plus rating is really important for them because of like just the year that he had a couple years ago. I feel like this was a big prove year for him. And the fact that he did so well, at least lineup wise, and also shot it good from the 3 point range. 38% last year. My stats are a little bugged out. That's why I'm trying to playing like word search right now, trying to get these percentages. But I think Stru's having a good year is important, and the fact that DeAndre Hunter is like plus 23. I mean, it is only 39 minutes, but still, that's very impressive. And like I said, he was a huge piece for them last year, and the fact that he's playing so well with those big four allows him to be on the court more, which is really important. Same with Dean Wade and well, I guess Okoro's gone. Levert's gone too, right? Or is Levert
Yeah,
still on the
Levert's
team?
gone.
Okay, that's what I thought. But yeah, Dean Wade still was good last year. See, he was a connecting piece for him last year. I felt like, especially early on in the season, um, and he shot it pretty good from 3 point line as well. So I think it's genuinely good that all these players are in the plus so much.
Yeah, so year to year, last year we were really talking about how their big four players have like pairings that work together within their big four. And like last year, it was like one combination of one of the guards and one of the bigs without the other two. So like it would be Mitchell and Allen, I think was the actual pairing, and then on the floor with Garland and Mobley off the floor would be like a plus 8 and then when you put all four of them together, it was like a +3. This season, there was kind of the same effect, but then when you put them all together, they were a +9, damn near together. So, like, the fit was a whole lot better just in general this season. Even if, like, they are technically a little bit better when you have a combination of all of them. A lot of that also has to do with Ty Jerome just being so awesome off the bench, too, just filling in for the guards. Um, the fit this year was a lot better with the bigs than it had been previously. Um, so yeah, I mean, just otherwise, Allen had a +10 net rating, Mobley had a +12. I think if you combine them together, it is not like one is hurting the other. There's Jarrett Allen. I'll quickly get the on the fly numbers because just like the year to year conversation we're having here with Cleveland is, can these guys fit together versus before it was like, and now a year later we're like, okay, these guys can probably fit together. When you combined Mobley and Allen, they were still a +12. So yeah, it was really good together. Um, we'll move past that. Usually there's not much to get lineup data wise out of a team that wins 64 games because everything will say good. Way to go. Not much to make out of it. Here's the new lineups. Shrews is currently hurt. And that's tough because he would definitely be their starting small forward. I struggled figuring out who the fifth starter would be. Merrill didn't play much with the big four last season. Hunter did. Dean Wade did. Hunter was also like primarily used off the bench last season with Cleveland and with Atlanta, so that was kind of tough for me to calculate where that should be. I ultimately ended up with Merrill starting just because they did pay him this offseason. They are also already paying DeAndre Hunter. I could see this going a whole different ways. What do we think about the small forward position?
I think I would go Hunter, but is Garland out or is he starting the season
Oh
playing?
wow, I don't know how this is yeah, this I did know this. Um but it didn't come up when I was making. Okay, this is a very good point. From what I understood, he was going to be playing, but he did have foot surgery like immediately after the season started. So there is a possibility too, like you said, that he might not play.
Okay. Um, yeah, I think if he doesn't, you just slide Lonzo Ball into that spot. So nothing really big deal there. But I tend to go Hunter. I feel like his all around game is better. I like Sam Merrill off the bench as like a spark shooter, which is what he was last year, like 37% um, from the 3 point line. Because, like you said, he didn't play a lot with the big four, and he only averaged 19 minutes per game. So I mean, honestly, the numbers could go up in a larger sample size, but I feel like DeAndre Hunter averaged 25 minutes per game for them last year, has been a starter in Atlanta for a lot of years. I feel like I personally, I kind of like Hunter at that position.
Yeah, I think if Garland's missing multiple weeks at the start, you just start Mitchell at point guard and you roll with Merrill and Hunter is what I would do. 'Cause like Lonzo, you don't want to overwork Lonzo out of all people, in my opinion. Um, from what I understand, Garland should like be working back during camp and might miss a couple of weeks, but he got surgery almost immediately after uh recovering from the playoffs. So um they're saying late October is what Google AI is telling me. So
Google AI knows everything, so I would listen
it's
to it.
never given a wrong answer before.
Yeah.
Does
Wow.
does Google Eye help you make the trivia questions?
No, because every time I try, I get the complete wrong answer. They said this one guy was. They said Mark Price's nickname was like Mr. Cavalier. Completely different guy that was named Mr. Cavalier.
Let's go, Mark Price. Um,
So, yeah. Mark Price's was like the okay kid.
The okay kid. That
Crazy nickname.
what
Yeah.
is it, what is that supposed to mean? Mark Price was pretty good.
I didn't look into it, Pat. I didn't feel like that would be a fair one for you.
Yeah.
So I kind of just moved past it,
Yeah, I
you
was
know?
not getting the okay kid for sure. Um, yeah, so I mean anything on these not lower tier players, but like any of the bench players, they do currently have one roster spot left to fill because I don't think they would go over the even further into the second apron just to add a 15th man right now. Yeah, what do you think?
Um, I mean, I talked about a lot of guys already. So I really like Sam Merrill still. Obviously, he's not one of the lower guys you're talking about. Struess, I mentioned. I think like especially if he's going to be kind of off the bench, I think that's a great role for him. I agree. I don't think he should be a starter, which I think is what he was
I'll
last
say
year.
this, on their team he should probably be
Or is
starting.
Struess
It's just
hurt?
he's
Is that why
missing
he's
the
down
first
there
three
now?
months of the year.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Never mind. But yeah, I mean, I talked about Struess was really good for them last year, like a knockdown shooter from three, in the corner, which is kind of what he did. Uh, I think Proctor, I kind of mentioned it in the pre stuff, like in the draft stuff. I think he's a steal, and hopefully he gets some minutes. Like nothing crazy yet. Did you say he was on a two
He's on a
way? Or
standard.
wait, I can check. Playing time for sure at some point. I don't think it'll be like a crazy offensive pop. Like he's not going to play like anything like that, but I think he could. I think he gets in there and just does his role, plays solid minutes on a stacked Cavs team.
He's tall enough to go out there and exist, is like the thing for a guy who can shoot and kind of play on the ball a little bit. Like he can exist without offending you, and I think that's pretty key. How would you attack filling this last roster spot as future GM of the Washington Wizards?
You're looking pretty good at the guard position. Maybe try to get something one of those big men. Um, maybe a more like traditional four instead of Dean Wade, and then if you want to do another backup center, you could. I feel like you already got enough 3-point shooters on this team. I don't think you need one of those kind of guys. So, um, yeah, I would go bigger, bigger, go home for the Cavs.
I feel like Nance is like your kind of typical backup four, but like he's definitely a five because he doesn't shoot. Maybe a stretch five look would be helpful for them. I don't know any stretch fives off the top of my head that are available in free agency right now. So I don't know. Maybe Maxi Cleveland in the buyout market. I don't know. Like it's kind of what we're cooking with here. It would have to probably it would have to be a league minimum guy, or some type of trade. But I think that's what they're working with. They're kind of locked into this core long term, and I don't think it's a bad core to be locked into for sure in the weak Eastern Conference, and we'll talk about it for sure extensively in the final predictions episode. Um, we'll move forward to core questions. Do we think they improved their roster this offseason? I will go ahead and say yes. Lonzo Ball, Larry Nance, probably better than Isaac Okoro, in my opinion. Ty Jerome's a tough loss, so I might land with just like they stayed relatively the same. I think they can get a lot of what they got out of Ty Jerome from like Sam Merrill, just in like a slightly different way. Like it's more of a spot up role than an on ball role, but I think they can get more scoring from Sam Merrill this season. So I'm gonna say they kind of stayed around the same in my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to lean the same way. I think Lonzo. I think, like you said, like Lonzo Ball, he's not going to be as good as Ty Jerome was. Like he's not going to be go out there and shoot 40% from three. Um, but I do think that he does like he can. He's a good fit for your team. I really like the pickup, and then Larry Nance addresses a big part of what you needed to address in the offseason, and that's a backup center. So they generally did a good job at kind of balancing their losses, but it's nothing like it's not a crazy improvement.
Yeah, like they made sure. they knew they had to lose one of Sam Merrill or Ty Jerome. They chose Sam Merrill. Do we think that was the right decision?
I think just for what they need, man, yeah, I like it. I like
I
it.
think,
I like Sam Merrill. I feel like Ty Jerome just got more of like playing time than Merrill did last season, so that's why
yeah,
we didn't really see him as like a volume. We didn't get to see him in a volume
I
setting.
think for they needed more of an off-ball shooter. I think Sam Merrill's even a better defender than Ty Jerome is. And like they earned around the same amount of money a year. And Sam Merrill got an extra year, but Sam Merrill was also signed like about a week before uh Ty Jerome was. And like I don't know, like I would have thought Ty Jerome would have got more than Dennis Schroeder this offseason. Um but the Kings are the Kings, so
Is 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 Ty Jerome a Eurobasket MVP?
oh, my
No,
fault. I
I didn't
I
think
won't
so.
disrespect the
Yeah,
future Hall of Famer ever again.
future Yellow Jacket. Do they do Yellow Jackets in the NBA?
I don't know, actually.
Maybe.
I'm not tapped in
No,
enough.
that would be a trivia question in the future.
Yeah, I need to figure out more on the I haven't had many Hall of Fame cases that I'm locked in on. I guess, this year we had Dwight and Melo, and I should have been more locked in for Melo, but he's washed by the time I got to watch him play, as a Knicks fan.
Damn,
Um,
come on! Don't forget them Portland Bears.
all right. Offensive MVP, or well, we have to ask about the future. Do we think they set themselves up better for the future?
Yeah, I think so. You don't like Tyrese Proctor, decent. I don't think they like did anything to that like they didn't do anything like negative to affect their future. I guess is what I would say. I feel like I mean you get Lonzo Ball. I feel like that's a good like high upside signing, and then Tyrese Proctor could be the steal of the draft or not. He could be a steal in the draft. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for this season in 25-26, they will have a tax bill, oh my goodness, of $149 million.
oh my goodness, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and if they would have signed Ty Jerome, that would have like if they would have re-signed Ty Jerome, that would have been like 90 million, I think. So, yeah, they could have done worse. Like if they re-signed Ty Jerome, like there is no ever getting another good player on this team, basically. So, um, yeah, I guess that from that standpoint, yeah, maybe they did. Um, I would say they didn't set themselves up better for the future. They just could have also screwed themselves way more than they did, like you kind of said. They didn't do anything to mess themselves up. Offensive MVP for them this season, I am going to go with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, me too. It's crazy what he does every year. Um, and he's just so reliable too. Like he's going to go out there and lock in. I think he had 24 points per game last season. Uh, just ridiculous, ridiculous. Like a couple 40-point games in there for sure. Just really great ability to attack the rim and also with the shot. It's crazy how many levels he can score from.
Yeah, like has great shot creation, can create nothing out of something right away. He's awesome. One of the 10 best offensive players in the league for sure. Defensive MVPs like very easily. They have the defensive player of the year from a season ago. We're gonna go with Evan Mobley for this one, unless you have any objections. Jalen Tyson propaganda.
Nah, no objections
Yeah,
here.
I wouldn't either. And then X Factor for them, I will actually consider a couple of names here. I will first pitch Evan Mobley taking a step forward offensively, like another step forward.
Another
Are we
one.
looking at like the best player in the league if that happens? Probably if that happens. So, um, I also will pitch Jalen Tyson if he can start for them. You know, he has a lot of good things that he can do on a basketball court. He's a pretty good passer, which is why I think he has a chance to catch on. He's a good passer from the wing position, can kind of shoot, can kind of defend. Hopefully, those skills can develop to be better than kind of things. And then he can attack well off the catch. It's just people have to respect him off the catch as a shooter first. What names came up for X Factor for you?
I think an interesting one is Sam Merrill, Pat. Like he's gonna get more of a role this year. Like he's gonna play more minutes. I want to see how he can adjust to that. Uh, I mean, he is a really quick trigger, and he does not hesitate to shoot the ball at all. And he shot really good last year, 37%. Like I said, low minute count, only averaged 9 points per game last season. Let's see what he can do in increased role, and I think he will have that increased role, especially with Garland out um, for maybe the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that. Starter minutes, Sam Merrill would be pretty sick. He'll be a role player shooting 8 threes a game probably, and yeah, that'll be great. He'll drive people insane. Uh, Shaq Shaq won't be able to fathom what's going on. Um, yeah, other than that, do we have any Cavs comments? Do we think this is finally the year they put it together in the playoffs?
Man, I think because you don't have Indiana or Boston to worry about, so and you won't have to face the Knicks until probably the Eastern Conference Finals, and you might be able to like benefit from a bat. I still believe this is going to be a really good
Yeah,
team, like same really good regular season stuff. But now you have a way easier path to that championship. You can do that. You can do it. Because what if they got Detroit or was no. Who did y'all play second round?
Boston. What
Oh
if Detroit and Milwaukee
oh
matched up in the first round and they would have got one of those guys in the second round? I guess is the way to look at
yeah,
it.
exactly. Like things could have. Yeah, that's thank you. Something could have swung a little different way. This team is still really good, Patrick. Like we saw it in the regular season last season, and a lot of people were thinking that this was for sure the team that was going to run through the playoffs, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen. But I think this will be the year just based on the fact about the weak East. I was very confident that last year was going to be the year, so hopefully I'm not just like a broken
What
record.
they're attempting to prove is that there is real value to going into every year as like the fifth best team in the league for championship favorite odds, because eventually in one of those years something will finally break your way, and that's what they're trying to prove. Um, hey, like let's say they get a good second round matchup, like you said, maybe they still get hurt, but since it's a worse team, they can sustain that injury stuff rather than facing Indiana, who like was probably closer to Cleveland than people realized as a pure talent. Like they were probably a lot closer to Indiana or to Boston and Cleveland. And then before Donovan Mitchell and or not Darius Garland and Evan Mobley missing playoff time, along with DeAndre Hunter as well. So yeah, I think that like how they have to look at this is even if they do get banged up again in the playoffs, no way you face the one of the best teams in the East in the second round again. Hope to make the number one seed in the regular season. You have a good head coach now. They didn't have a good head coach before. No disrespect to JB Bickerstaff, but Kenny Atkinson looks like one of the best coaches in the league. So that's the hope for this season for Cleveland. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, a ton when predicting who we think is going to win the East in the regular season. Um, Cleveland, this is for you. Um, quote Dion Waiters. I got it from Google AI, so it's got to be correct. Um, anything else before
Yeah.
we wrap this one up?
Nah, I think you said pretty much all of it. Hopefully, this team can figure it out in the playoffs because I love watching Donovan Mitchell on prime time.
Great playoff performer as well. Um, one of my favorite players in the league. a lot of that was based on him eventually becoming a Knick. I don't think that's going to happen, but um, at least he's a Mets fan too. Um, Other than that, next episode will be a Detroit Pistons episode. Let's go. Um, yeah, that should be very entertaining. I'm sure we'll have plenty of conversations about their young guys. We will see you guys then.
Oh,